A blank white canvas is one of the most exciting and difficult things for any artist to tackle, and 6 local designers are taking that and these 4 mandatory design elements and teaching you how you can add inspiration to your home at this year's Buffalo Home Show. As we introduce you to each of these local designers, you'll see that there's a common thread amongst all of the rooms. Each was inspired by an iconic Hollywood photo. We're joined by Pamela Whitty now. Pamela, what was your inspiration?
My inspiration was the Beatles. Being the 50th anniversary of the Beatles being on the Ed Sullivan Show, I thought it was perfect to incorporate that into my room.
So you take this iconic band, the Beatles. What elements did you steal from them to sort of make this a livable but very interesting room?
Well, being that this is a London flat, I have my London flat located on Abbey Road, which is the picture in the background. So that was the start of the whole theme of the room.
Now I noticed something, and it's one of my favorite elements in the room, is that octopus's garden. But a lot of people aren't going to want to be so bold with their designing. So how can people spice up the room that they're working on?
You know, simple things. If you're on a budget, you can just replace your lamps in a room. Go with something artsy, out of the box. I always call lamps jewelry of the room.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your room and your inspiration with us.
You're welcome.
All right, there's a few other rooms you want to check out, so let's head that way. From a group of famous musicians to a group of famous friends, our next designer was inspired by a modern version of Monica from the show Friends' eclectic apartment.
Well, I took a lot of things, like she would have done a lot of thrift store shopping and that, so I actually used the required mandatory elements to kind of bring those to life. So I adapted the light fixture into wall sconces, which they had throughout their apartment. I took the flashing and made some quirky little flowers out of them. Just tried to bring more unique pieces in, and then definitely used her bright color palette.
And according to Laurel, color is something everyone should embrace.
Well, I think a lot of people are afraid of using color in spaces, so I did a more muted wall tone. Even though it is purple, it's not a bright in-your-face purple. And then I mixed it with brighter punches of color, which really, in this case, I used 3, but you don't have to. You could use maybe 1, and a lot of people would be more comfortable with that. So I think it's something that is really adaptable for people's spaces.
Pairing color with the great foundation of a hardwood floor can also create stunning visual interest.
Hardwood is a great design element, from the furniture that's going to sit on top of it, to cabinetry, to the trim on the walls. Typically, clients want to have contrast between their furniture and their flooring. We don't want everything to blend in. So a dark floor like the one behind me typically will have lighter furniture on top of it.
So we've seen it, rooms inspired by the Beatles and Friends. So now we're joined by Erin Kent. Now, Erin, I have to ask you, what was your inspiration?
My room was inspired by the Rat Pack. They were popular in the 60s, and so that led to kind of a mid-century modern design. And, you know, that represents clean lines, kind of a cool, sophisticated look. So we went with that.
No one wants the room to feel like it's outdated, that it takes place in the 60s. So how do you take that inspiration and still make it feel very modern?
Some of the furniture that's out today really does represent that time period. It's very popular now, some very clean lines. Mid-modern century furniture is popular and really relevant now.
And if this seems overwhelming to you, so many tips, so much to do, you can always contact one of the amazing local designers that represent Buffalo in this year's White Room Challenge.
Absolutely.